In San Antonio tonight, Karl-Anthony Towns had 32 points. Knicks once down by 28, got within 8 a couple of times, but Sandro Mamukelashvili, game of his life. New York native went to Seton Hall, 13 out of 14, a career high 34 points. He played only 19 minutes, and the Spurs beat the Knicks tonight 120-104. As we continue with our Garden of Dreams fundraiser, $100 donation gives you a chance at one of these great prizes, and you can participate until March the 27th at 11 a.m. And this is such a critical program, helping area children with educational opportunities, mentorships, professional opportunities, medical treatment, all potentially life-changing. All those great prizes are possible with a $100 donation. And again, we keep this going for you at msg.com/GDFNYK until March the 27th at 11 a.m. Great to have you with us here. Bill Pito from our Delta MSG studios. Alan Hahn will join us here in a couple of moments. This was one of the most bizarre games that we have ever seen in terms of runs. Spurs in the first quarter went on a 16-1 run. In the second quarter, the Spurs went on a 23-2 run. In the third quarter, the Knicks went on a 22-3 run. They got within 8 after being down by 28, but they just could not get the lead back. Karl-Anthony Towns scored the Knicks' first 9 points. I mentioned he had the 32. Chris Paul still got it, 39 years old, was in double digits. Stefan Cassell, likely the rookie of the year, went for 22. And then you have Devin Vassell there as the Spurs were up by 24 at the half. Third quarter, Knicks come storming back. Mikal Bridges, then it's Cat. OG Anunoby, like Bridges, had 14 points. A 22-3 Knicks run, and they got within 8 in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, they got within 8 as well. Campaign pretty good off the bench tonight with 11. But Mamukelashvili, say it twice for me. I've said it twice. Now it's your turn. He hit every big shot when it mattered off the bench. The game of his life by far. 34 points. And then you have the Johnson bank for 3, and the Spurs go up 108-94 and end up winning 120-105. Three-point shooting in the favor of the Spurs, rebounding in favor of the Spurs. You see the rest of the numbers. Knicks outboarded on the defensive board, 37-27. Points in the paint close, and the turnovers pretty close. But the Knicks just got too far down and could never come back. Alan Hahn on the game call tonight with Tyler Murray now joins us from San Antonio. The back and forth, Alan, I know this is a modern day NBA, but these runs back and forth tonight, this is a whole new level tonight.
Yeah, I said on the broadcast, make or miss is such a cliche, but it really felt like that was the way this game was going. Was whoever was making shots, getting into your defense, you were able to set up your defense. But when you miss shots, boy, both teams were going the other way. The Knicks were getting that, doing what they do. They were getting turnovers, turning them into points that third quarter. Their defense was getting their offense going because they really struggled with their offense in that first half. But, Bill, I mean, Mamu has a game of his life. And I'll say this right now. I think the Knicks win this game if he doesn't have a game like that. He was unconscious. He was making shots, defended shots, and at times he was left open, which anybody watching said, why would you leave him open? Because he was so hot. But I think you can say one player was the difference in the game. He was. It felt like every time the Knicks did try to make a push, it was him who made a big shot, whether it was a 3 or whether it was a couple of those dunks. The Knicks just could not find him defensively. The Spurs were smart. They were playing small ball. They were using him in pick and pop instead of pick and roll. So when drop coverage happens, he's open. And what you got to do is make him pay when you're the big man and you're getting that pop and you're open. And he didn't miss 7 of 7 from downtown. Sometimes you got to tip your cap. They had a player who was en fuego tonight.
Alan, you got to put this in perspective. Mamukelashvili has never scored 20 points in a game in his career. He's been in the league a handful of years, second-round pick out of Seton Hall. So he's never gone for 20. And tonight, as we've talked about, he goes for 34, and he didn't even play 20 minutes in the game. It's unbelievable.
I thought he had 28. I thought his previous high was 28. But still, he has had good games for this team. He has been a good player for them this season. The more they have used him, he's been very useful, and he's got that kind of game that in today's NBA, this is what you want. A big man who can shoot threes, who can set screens, and also what I loved was his rebounding. I think he did a really good job on the glass, and he was effective. So, for the Knicks, it was tough to match up against him. But again, who's 7 for 7 from three? I mean, it's just you don't see that in the NBA. No matter who it is. Steph Curry might do it. You'll see some of the best shooters in the league do it. Devin Booker can do it at times. Luka Doncic. But not a guy who has so many letters in his name it goes from one shoulder to the other. And, you got to now look him up from now on, because when you play against him, future opponents play against him, and if he is a free agent this summer, there'll be teams calling, because that's the kind of game that a lot of teams want in today's NBA.
Just to clarify, his career high, to your point, 28 before tonight, but his season high coming into this game.
I Googled it for you.
His season high, Alan, 14.
I Googled it for you. Don't worry about it.
Season high, 14 before tonight. Bright spot for the Knicks, Karl-Anthony Towns. What do you think? 32 points. He scored 15 in a row against Miami the other night and started off well tonight, scoring the first 9 for the Knicks tonight.
Yeah, he was the Knicks offense early in this game because no one else could really get it going. At one point, all the starters were 0 for 10. He was the only one making shots from the field. And that's what you expect, of course, with no Wembanyama in this game, with not a lot of rim protection in this game. It was a perfect game for Karl-Anthony Towns to feed him and let him dominate. He did a little of both, inside and certainly outside as well. But they needed more help from other resources, and they just didn't get it until the second half. I felt like in the second half, the Knicks offense did open up more. You saw OG Anunoby start making some shots early on, Mikal Bridges on some cuts, but the flow just wasn't there for the Knicks. They didn't get a lot out of their bench. Landry Shamet campaign struggled with their shooting. You saw Tom Thibodeau play a 9-man rotation. He was trying to get a lot out of his bench, especially in the first game of a back-to-back. But for Towns, of course, you're getting the production without Jalen Brunson. He's got to step up and lead the way. But as we've seen over this stretch, when they've won games, it's always because someone else, whether it's Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby, is giving you some offense. Tonight it was a struggle to get that second guy going with offense.
Another bright spot aside from Cat. Allen, second straight solid performance from Mitchell Robinson. His first double-double of the season, went for 13 and 11. What did you see from him tonight?
I really liked his activity, and that's the most important part. He played under 20 minutes this time, 17 minutes and 14 seconds, but really good at the rim. His offensive rebounding, which is one of his strengths when he's at his best. He's probably the best offensive rebounder in the NBA. He had 5 offensive rebounds in this game, 11 rebounds total. I love his defense, too. The block shots, a steal. He does affect the defense because of his length, his versatility, his switch ability. But I'll tell you what, when you see the Knicks play him with Karl-Anthony Towns, it is a different dimension. It is something that the Knicks, I think they want to see more and more of, but they got to be careful, of course, with his minutes. It'll be interesting, Bill, as we have a back-to-back now. The team will head to Charlotte to play tomorrow night. Is how do they handle him in this? Before the game, Tom Thibodeau wouldn't reveal what the plan was. He said, we're just working on one game at a time. He didn't play over 20 minutes. If he's feeling good, do the Knicks use him tomorrow night in Charlotte, or do they sit him to manage his minutes to make sure he's at full health when the playoffs begin?
Mitch played 17 minutes, 14 seconds tonight, to be exact. Knicks are not going to talk about this. Coach won't talk about it, but the travel schedule here, Alan. You come back from the West on Sunday for the game against Miami. Yesterday, you go to San Antonio. You're in the San Antonio tonight, tomorrow night at Charlotte. How much of this schedule and the impact of all the travel may have had a big impact on what we saw tonight and what we might see tomorrow night?
It was funny when I got here and I saw some players and saw some of the coaching staff. It's what I brought up. 13 nights out of 15 nights in a hotel. Only 2 nights at home. They got home, they played Miami. That was a bit of a slow start too, but then they finally were able to get their defense kicked in and they were able to pull out the win. Here, like I said, it was the same story. Got off to a slow start. They had to get the legs going. They had to get their offense going. In that third quarter, it started to turn to their favor. And I really do feel like if it wasn't for Mamu making the shots that he made, some unbelievable threes, that it just felt like the Knicks might have been able to take this game. So the effort certainly was there. You're not questioning that. They were getting after it defensively as best they could. The offense just couldn't get there when they needed it to, and they had too big a hill to climb. They've never come back from 28 to win a game in franchise history, so they were trying to make some history tonight. Came close, but again, they won't talk about it, but you're right. You have to acknowledge it. It is a real thing. And not only do they have this long stretch of a ton of games on the road, let's also point out that it's going to end this stretch in a back-to-back in Charlotte, which is not exactly, a puddle jump from San Antonio.
Okay, Alan, we know you're coming home tomorrow. We'll see you here on the pregame show and the postgame show. I need some company trying to keep the boat afloat here. Need your help.
I'll be in the studio with you tomorrow, Billy.
All right, pal. Have a safe trip home.